Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the three-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA, and the scoring champ for this season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, has won the MVP over two multiple-time MVP winners, Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. This would have been Giannis's third MVP. At this point, I think this would have been Nikola Jokic's fourth MVP, right? If he would have won this award. Look, I think you look at stat-wise, I'm on Nikola Jokic's side of being the MVP. Nikola Jokic deserved the MVP if this was a stat award, but this is what I tell people a lot when they try to make an argument for Jokic being the MVP. When has this been a And by the way, I was right. This would have been Jokic's fourth MVP if he would have won it. But going back to what I was saying, when has this ever been a stat award where like most of the time you see a guy has great numbers, wins MVP, and a partial reason, but another partial reason of why they win MVP is because how good their team is, and that's the case with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year. And like I look at it as a Rockets fan, it pains me to say this, but I look at James Harden's MVP in that 2017-18 season, and LeBron James was amazing that 2017-18 season. His numbers were unbelievable. That is probably one of LeBron James' best season. And LeBron James finished second place in MVP voting that year. And as a Rockets fan who loves James Harden, we should have saw LeBron James win that MVP that year over James Harden. But we didn't. Why? Because LeBron James was the 4 seed for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and James Harden was on a 65-team Houston Rockets team that was the 1 seed in the Western Conference. And James Harden had great numbers as well. You want to look at the next year, what happened the next year? James Harden was putting up unbelievable numbers. I mean, like, at times he was averaging 40 points. I mean, James Harden that year in that 2018-19 season. That's the best season I've seen from James Harden as a Rockets fan. I just name out James Harden's numbers in the 2018-19 season. He averaged 36 points per game, 6 points more than what he averaged in his MVP season the season before that. Only 1 assist less than the season before that. James Harden, that is James Harden's best season of his career. Where did he finish in the MVP voting that year? Number 2. Who finished number 1? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo did not deserve that MVP award in the 2018-19 season. But why did he win it? Because James Harden, who was the best player that year in that 2018-19 season, was on the 4 seed Houston Rockets, and then you saw with Giannis Antetokounmpo, he was on the 60-win plus Milwaukee Bucks and the 1 seed. What did Giannis average that year, for instance? Giannis in that 2018-19 season, it's not like he was bad, but he only averaged 28 and 13, which is nothing to me compared to someone averaging over 36 and 8 assists per game. So, but then the next season, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you can look at what he did. He deserved that MVP. But James Harden did not deserve the MVP he got in the 2017-18 season. You saw a couple years, then a couple years ago in the 2018-19 season, Harden deserved it. Giannis didn't, but Giannis got that because they were one of the best teams in the league and he had great numbers. You can look a couple years ago, not last season, but the year before that, 2022-23 season, Nikola Jokic won the MVP over Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was the much better player that year. Nikola Jokic wasn't bad, but his team in the 2022-23 season was one of the best teams in the league. They were like the 1 or 2 seed in the Western Conference. I believe they were the 1 seed in they were the 2 seed in the Western Conference. No, I was right originally. They were the 1 seed in the Western Conference, and Jokic won MVP that year in the 2022-23 season, and he finished. My bad. I was wrong. This was the 2021-22 season. Jokic won MVP in the 2021-22 season. He averaged 27 points per game. He averaged 8 assists per game. And he also averaged that year 14 rebounds per game. And Jokic was great. But Joel Embiid was killer that year and should have won MVP that season for the Philadelphia 76ers. If you just go over what Joel Embiid did that season for the Philadelphia 76ers, and the reason why did Jokic win that award over Joel Embiid was because of the fact that, Nikola Jokic was on a team that was much better than the Philadelphia 76ers that year. And, he averaged Joel Embiid in the 2021-22 season, going to the numbers, averaged Joel in the 2021-22 season. Embiid played 68 games and 68 starts, and he finished second place in MVP voting, even though he averaged 31 points per game and 12 rebounds per game. So that's what I'm talking about. Embiid should have won it over Jokic in the 2021-22 season. Harden should have won it over Giannis in the 2018-19 season, and LeBron should have won it over Harden in the 2017-18 season. And look, you can go into stats, and maybe, Jokic should have won it over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but both guys were absolutely spectacular this season when it came to how they played. Shai was the scoring champ. Who was the better team? Nikola Jokic was on the 4 seed in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, Shai was the 1 seed. And you look at it, and it's like, it's the same thing with the Harden-LeBron comparison, or the Harden-Giannis comparison, where Harden's team is the 4 seed and Giannis is the 1 seed, or, Harden's team is the 1 seed and LeBron's is the 4 seed. And Shai this year was fantastic. Yes, does he shoot a lot of free throws? Sure. But he still averages 33 points per game. And if you take away his free throws, he still scored the most points in the league this year. Still averaged the most points per game in the league, more than Jokic and more than anyone else if you remove the free throw shooting. He's also great defensively, averages a block per game, 2 steals per game this year. Facilitating-wise is great. Averaged almost 7 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game. Had one of his best 3-point percentage seasons of his career, shooting 38%, which the only season he shot higher was the 2020-21 season, averaging 41% from 3. But this was the most 3-point attempts that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has reached in a season, averaging almost 6 3-point attempts per game. So Shai deserved this MVP award. I'm not saying Jokic didn't, but go way back. Steve Nash's MVPs. That you look at Steve Nash's MVPs, you look at Harden's MVP in the 2017-18 season over LeBron, you'll look at Giannis's MVP over Harden, Jokic's 2021-22 MVP over Joel Embiid. It's just, there's too many MVPs you look at where a player gets screwed because they had the best numbers, but numbers is not the only award for this MVP award. It is also who puts up great numbers on the best team in the league, and that was the Thunder this year. And Shai was just as good as Jokic. It's not like Jokic was 10 times better than him. They were both great. I think they were equally as valuable to their team as maybe Jokic is a little bit more valuable on his team than Shai, but it's not much different. And Shai is on the best team in the NBA. And so he deserved this award. I'll say one thing that pissed me off with this award was the fact that it was announced 3 hours. Like they say this morning, oh yeah, it's going to get announced at 6 o'clock. That's when you're going to find out who's winning the MVP award, whether it's Shai or Jokic. And then at 3 o'clock, Shams makes a tweet saying Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has won the MVP award. I'm like, what happened to announcing this at 6 o'clock? That's why every NBA draft I turn off. Well, now don't have to do this anymore now that he's not doing anything for the NBA. This is why every year in the draft, prior years, I have turned off. Even though I love both of them, I've turned off Woj and Shams alerts during the NBA draft to the point where it's, you cannot, and same thing with the NFL guys like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, those guys, you got to turn off their alerts during the NFL draft and NBA draft as well with Shams and Woj. I know Woj isn't doing NBA anymore because they ruin it. And I don't know why they did. I don't know why Shams ruined that. This could have been a surprise. I don't think it would have been a surprise to find out Shai won MVP, but now we already know 3 hours before it's announced. I mean, they're going to announce it on TNT in 20 minutes. It's 5:30. And so, but congratulations to Shai. Let me know your thoughts on the MVP award for Shai. The MVP award going to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.